Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Hope your weekend was a good one. Weather cooperated. A few clouds here and there in some places yesterday, and even the odd sprinkle. But on the whole, Sunday was no worse than partly sunny for most, mostly sunny for some. And Saturday, of course, was an absolutely terrific day. So let's roll along. Really don't have a whole lot to worry about this coming week. There's one cold front that's going to come through late Wednesday with a threat for showers and storms, and then another one Friday night, which takes us into the weekend. And I don't know if there's going to be very much with that. And the rest of the time, it should be okay. In fact, we still have low humidity conditions here across the Northeast, down into the northern parts of the Mid-Atlantic states. There are a few clouds around this morning that backed in from off the ocean overnight, and they're moving southwestward and thinning out. We also have a storm developing east of Cape Cod, a strengthening upper trough here, and what that is going to do is basically reinforce the dry air in the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states for today and tonight and for the very first part of Tuesday. Out to the west, you can start to see some high clouds here. That is the next weather front beginning its approach, and we'll get into some of that on Tuesday. But on the whole today, as we look at the weather up and down the East Coast, it really does look fairly decent. You have some patchy clouds down in parts of Virginia and North Carolina, and not much else. So it is a typical late August day, with the exception being that there's still some nice dry air around. We've got this high building back westward. It was all the way out in the Gulf of Maine, but now it's starting to build back westward into New England. And you can see the low that is east of New Jersey as of 5 a.m. And that is going to intensify a bit more as it heads northward toward Nova Scotia later today. The boundary extends all the way down into the Carolinas. And then you've got the low with the disturbed weather that's off the southeast coast. And with respect to that, I'm just going to go back to the satellite loop here. It's all stretched out northeast, southwest, but there seems to be a little bit of thunderstorm activity blowing up near where the low center is. So the hurricane center still thinks this has a shot of becoming a tropical depression or a tropical storm in the next day or so. But we still think that the ultimate track of this is going to be up to the northeast and then northeast out over the open waters, really of no impact here. So going forward, as we'll look at the NAM model today, we have that high building in. You can see showers and storms back through Ohio and Tennessee with the next cold front. The warmer, more humid air will start to approach tomorrow. The air is so dry that it looks like even the warm front doesn't want to get going. So we will have high clouds around to mask in with the sun. Temperatures today in the 70s. Temperatures Tuesday will be mostly in the 70s. And then on Wednesday, the front approaches and gets to the coast. This will be a warm and we'll call it somewhat humid day as dew points climb back up into the 60s. We'll get some showers and thunderstorms maybe late in the afternoon and evening from southern New England down into northern Virginia. I don't really think this is going to be a severe weather threat. And part of the reason is if you've got this low out here, that's going to tend to stabilize the atmosphere somewhat in areas certainly along the coast as that low moves up to the northeast. And so I'm not really all that concerned with it. And then out it goes and goodbye. Thursday and Friday look like two nice days from northeastern Virginia to southern New England with sunshine, temperatures in the low to mid 80s, and the humidity I expect to be reasonable. I'm optimistic for the Labor Day weekend overall, but I'll get into that in one of my website posts later today, and you can check that out at meteorologistjoecioffi.com or just jump on the app and read it there when I post it. Now, in the meantime, we've got Tropical Storm Dorian, which has gotten better organized during the overnight hours, and you can see here on the enhanced loop we're getting a solid blow up of thunderstorms, but the tropical storm has a very well-defined core to it. So you have to be careful with these small systems. There's dry air to the north that's getting entrained, which is kind of limiting intensification. On the other hand, Dorian sits in its own environment here of moisture-laden tropical air. So it seems to be doing pretty well. Also, upper air winds are very light, so it is favorable for strengthening. And it will be moving across the Windward Islands during late today and tonight with tropical storm conditions. and tropical storm force winds. There's a chance it could strengthen a bit more before it does that. Now, as far as the longer term is concerned, we see that the hurricane tracking models pretty much take it west-northwest and then turn it northwestward, close to Puerto Rico and over the Dominican Republic. Now, how much of the storm is left at this point is a big question, because the Eastern Caribbean is hostile usually to tropical systems, not always, but much of the time. We've seen it many times where we have had full-blown hurricanes come into the Eastern Caribbean only to be ripped apart by the strong upper air winds, which are forecast to develop in this region for later this week. The next 2 days, though, it still remains an environment where it could strengthen. Now, ultimately, what happens longer term, if it gets ripped apart in the Caribbean, there may not be much left once it gets to the Dominican Republic, in which case we really don't have to worry too much about all these tracks that you see over in the Bahamas. So we'll see what happens once it gets into the Eastern Caribbean and deal with that when we get to maybe along about Wednesday, when it becomes clear whether the shear is going to take this apart. In the meantime, here are the hurricane tracking models with respect to the system offshore moving northeastward, looking to make a close pass to Nova Scotia late this week, if this is correct. Again, it may develop, it may not develop, but with respect to our weather here in our area, I really don't think it makes that much difference. So for the rest of the day, it's partly to, in many cases, mostly sunny skies. Temperatures will be topping out mainly in the 70s. Most areas will be in the low to mid 70s, and we still have a nice breeze coming in from off the ocean. So that wraps it up for Weather in 5. We're going to have a full YouTube live stream show. We had one last night. We will have one tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll have all the latest and have lots of time to go into all the details with everything that is going on. Have a great Monday. Just watch for additional website posts and updates coming up later today. Thanks for being here on Weather in 5.